Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. We're jumping right into something today that is absolutely crucial. If you've spent literally any time around kids lately, you already know that smartphones are basically permanently attached to their hands. They're swiping, they're watching videos, playing games, and yes, even learning on these things at younger and younger ages. But it really makes you wonder, right? What is all that screen time actually doing to their growing minds? Well, today, we're unpacking the source material to figure out exactly how smartphones affect a child's brain and their overall development.
So, here's the big, provocative question. Are smartphones physically rewiring our children's brains? It's a pretty heavy thought. If you're a parent, a caregiver, maybe a teacher, you've almost definitely felt that little knot of anxiety watching a kid totally zoned out, completely mesmerized by a glowing screen and ignoring the whole world around them. Well, spoiler alert, you're not imagining things. Your concerns are 100% valid. There are actual, invisible structural changes happening right inside their heads when they spend hours upon hours scrolling.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to look at the vulnerable growing brain, then focus, memory, and learning, followed by the dopamine addiction trap. After that, we'll hit sleep, mood, and the body, and finally wrap up with building healthy digital habits.
All right, Section 1. The vulnerable growing brain.
You know, a kid's brain is basically a massive construction zone. It is actively building and forming crucial neural connections all the way into their mid-20s. And the absolute command center for all this growth? That's the prefrontal cortex. It's the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, focus, planning, and self-control. And here's the kicker. Because this area is one of the very last parts to fully finish developing, it is incredibly vulnerable. Throwing excessive screen time into the mix actively interferes with its natural, healthy growth.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Just look at the striking difference in these brain volume scans. On one hand, you have a healthy brain with minimal screen time, showing really vibrant, strong connections. On the other hand, you see a brain exposed to too much screen time. The studies actually show that excessive phone use can physically reduce brain volume, especially in the outer layer, the cortex, which handles thinking and language. So we're not just talking about a kid getting a little distracted. We're talking about a literal, physical, structural difference.
Moving on to Section 2. Focus, memory, and learning.
So how do those structural changes actually play out in a kid's day-to-day life? Well, it's basically a massive tug-of-war between deep, slow thinking and instant gratification. Think about it. Healthy brain development requires real patience. Reading a book, solving a tough puzzle, using your imagination, those things take slow, sustained focus, which is exactly how you build a strong memory. But smartphones? Oh, they do the exact opposite. Fast-paced videos, constant notifications popping up, quick little rewards, they actively train the brain to just expect instant gratification. Over time, kids literally lose the patience for deep processing. Instead of thinking critically to solve a problem, they just quickly Google the answer. The result? Shorter attention spans, weakened critical thinking, and, unsurprisingly, poor academic performance.
Which brings us to Section 3, the dopamine addiction trap.
So why is it so ridiculously hard for kids to just put the device down? The main culprit here is dopamine. It's that classic feel-good chemical the brain releases when we experience pleasure. And believe me, app developers know exactly how to game this system. Every single time a kid gets a like on a photo, hears a notification ping, or levels up in a mobile game, their brain gets a little hit of dopamine. It feels good. But over time, the brain starts to constantly crave that next hit. That is the trap. They literally need more screen time just to feel normal or happy, and when they can't get to their phones, they get super anxious or irritable. It basically hijacks their self-control.
All right, let's look at Section 4. Sleep, mood, and body.
Now, this dopamine trap doesn't just stay in the brain. It bleeds deeply into their physical health, especially right before bed. Let's talk about melatonin. That's the hormone that regulates our natural sleep cycle. It's the thing that makes us actually feel tired at night. Well, get this. Just 2 hours of screen time can drop melatonin levels by up to 22%. That's huge. When a kid stares at a phone before bed, that harsh blue light blasts into their eyes, completely tricks the brain into thinking the sun is still up, and suppresses that vital sleep signal. So the brain stays wide awake, leading to late nights, terrible sleep quality, and that brutal morning exhaustion that just wrecks their focus the whole next day.
And you know, the physical toll is more than just missing out on sleep. When a kid is hunched over a phone all day, they get what experts call text neck. It causes real neck pain, serious eye strain, headaches, and keeps them totally physically inactive. But pair that physical slump with the emotional toll. The emotional impact is just brutal. When kids spend all their time staring at screens, they're talking less, they're playing less, and they're completely avoiding real-life face-to-face interactions. That isolates them.
It leads to weakened communication skills, deep feelings of loneliness, stress, insecurity, and sometimes even depression.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds into something actionable: building healthy digital habits. Okay, I know the research we've covered is pretty alarming, but take a breath because it's absolutely not a lost cause. So the crucial point is this: phones are not the enemy. Overuse is. We live in a deeply digital world, and technology itself is an amazing tool for learning and creativity. Banning phones entirely usually isn't the answer, and honestly, it's just not practical for most families. What we are really aiming for here is balance. We want to teach kids to use technology as a tool rather than letting the technology use them.
So what's the best way to create that balance? You actively crowd out the screen time. Get them outside to play, have them read physical books, do creative activities, hang out with the family, pick up a new hobby, and make sure they get enough sleep. These aren't just quaint, old-fashioned ideas. These are the exact activities that actively build those strong, complex neural connections in a growing brain. Face-to-face interaction and real imaginative play provide the slow, deep cognitive processing that totally counteracts the hyper-fast, instant gratification of a smartphone.
To actually make this happen without overwhelming your house, the source material lays out a super straightforward 3-step framework. Step 1. Set time limits on devices. Simple as that. Boundaries are healthy and necessary. Step 2. Enforce no phones during meals or before bed. This is huge. It protects their social skills at the dinner table and guarantees that pesky blue light won't wreck their melatonin at night. And Step 3. Be a good role model. Kids copy us, right? If we're constantly staring at our own screens, they'll do the exact same thing. We've got to put the phone down, look them in the eye, listen, and just spend some actual quality time together. I absolutely love this quote from the research. It perfectly sums up everything we've talked about today. Let children use technology wisely, not blindly. It's really all about intentionality. By guiding kids, setting those boundaries, and actively encouraging a rich, vibrant life outside of the screen, we can actually help them grow into well-balanced individuals who control their tech instead of letting their tech control them.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final vital question to think about. How will you change your family's screen time tonight? You know the invisible biology happening in their brains now, and you see the behavioral traps. What is one small, realistic boundary you can put in place today to protect their focus, their sleep, and their emotional well-being? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.